All right, let's get into this. We've all seen it happen, right? A new building is going up, and all of a sudden, that empty lot next door starts filling up with leftover junk. It seems, well, harmless enough. Just a little shortcut in a big project. But today, we're going to follow the trail of that one shortcut. We'll see how a single, simple decision can create this cascade of problems for an entire neighborhood, and, more importantly, how one person asking just one question can change everything.
You know, it all starts with a thought just like this one. A simple excuse for an easy way out. It's not meant to be malicious, it's just convenient. But that one little thought, that's the seed for a huge problem. It's the origin story for a neighborhood-wide headache that nobody asked for, but now everyone's going to have to deal with it.
So picture this. You've got a truck backing up to an empty plot of land right next to a storm drain. With a quick tilt, a whole load of old bricks, broken up cement, and sand just comes tumbling out. The truck drives off. For the contractor, hey, job's done. Another thing checked off the list.
But that single act, that one little shortcut, it sets off a massive chain reaction. This is where the true cost starts to show up. Not in money, but in the day-to-day lives of everyone else who lives there.
And here is the fundamental problem, the big disconnect. From the contractor's point of view, it was totally logical. Fast, cheap, simple. But for the community, the reality was anything but. They were the ones left with blocked roads, the very real threat of flooded homes, and just an unsafe environment. One person's convenience became everyone else's burden.
And this doesn't all happen at once. It builds up, kind of like a slow-motion disaster. First, one truck dumps its load. Then another one sees the pile and thinks, oh, I guess this is the spot, and adds to it. Then the rains come, and all that loose sand and little bits of cement, they wash right into the drain, creating a solid plug. Now the water has nowhere to go but up and out, flooding the whole street into a muddy, impassable mess.
So this is where our story really takes a turn. It's so easy to see a problem like this and just get frustrated, right? Just complain about it. But this story is about what happens when one person decides to do a little more than just watch it happen.
So one morning, a guy who lives there named Amit steps out of his house ready to head to the office. But he can't. His path is literally blocked by this pool of dirty, stagnant water that's just overflowing from the drain. The street is a disaster, and his day is immediately thrown off track. This is that light bulb moment, the catalyst. He looks past the flood and sees the real cause, that huge, growing pile of construction debris on the nearby lot. He connects the dots. This wasn't some random plumbing issue or a freak storm. No, it was a direct result of that illegal dumping. The problem suddenly had a source. So that evening, Amit doesn't go start a big fight or call the authorities. He simply walks over to the construction site where the contractor is. His approach is calm, it's direct, and it's totally non-confrontational. And he asks this simple but honestly brilliant question. Where do you take this debris for proper disposal? Think about that. It's not an accusation. It's just a question. But it gently forces the contractor to actually confront what they've been doing. It doesn't invite a defensive no, it asks for an explanation.
And believe it or not, that one question was all it took to turn a private shortcut into a public conversation. This is exactly how one person's action can spark a powerful community response. The contractor is a little caught off guard, It's not an angry rant. So he just admits it, says they just dump it nearby. And this opens the door for Amit to calmly explain the consequences, how that one simple act clogs up the drain and floods the entire street, affecting dozens of families. But Amit doesn't stop there. He gets his neighbors involved, and their response is just so methodical and clear. A meeting is held. They don't just complain, they pinpoint the problem and its cause. And then they make a collective decision, a new rule for their community. All construction waste has to go where it's supposed to a designated disposal site. Simple as that. Now, of course, change wasn't instant. Some of the contractors pushed back against the extra time and cost. But with the whole neighborhood united, with everyone on the same page and holding them accountable, well, that resistance started to fade. The power of the group was just stronger than the convenience of one person. So let's look at the final outcome, shall we? This is where we get to weigh the real price of that initial shortcut. We're going to jump forward just 1 month after the community made their decision. And really, the results just speak for themselves. Just look at this transformation. It's night and day. The plot of land is clear again, the drain is flowing freely, doing its job, and the street It's no longer a muddy obstacle course. It's open and it's safe for everyone. This isn't just a minor improvement. It's a complete restoration of their shared space.
So the bottom line really comes down to this. A shortcut that saved one person maybe a few minutes and a little bit of money ended up costing an entire community weeks of frustration, damage, and risk. The true cost was never on the contractor's books. It was paid by every single person living on that street.
And this really leaves us with a final thought. Amit's story shows that you don't need to be some big-time activist or organize a protest to create change. Sometimes all it takes is one person, just paying attention and asking one simple, thoughtful question. So the question for all of us is, what's that small thing you see every day? And what's the small question you could ask to start a big change?
एक कदम विकसित भारत की ओर।